Good morning. Salam. Good morning, everyone. We'll just wait for 2 minutes to get started while people are joining.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks for enabling my mic, Farooq.
You're welcome. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes and then we start.
Yeah, sure. I believe you are able to see me now.
Yes, we can see your video, and once you start the presentation, you can start sharing your screen and then we will be able to see your screen as well.
Sure.
So let's begin. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar on OT security. I am Farooq, your host for today, and I am part of the Dubai OWASP Chapter. This session is being recorded and will be uploaded on YouTube. And I'm very excited to introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Moon Eluvangal, who's an OT cybersecurity specialist, works at IBM. And in the next 30-40 minutes, we will dive deep and understand and learn from him. So thanks for joining, everyone, and let's get started. Over to you, Moon.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Farooq, for that brief and good introduction. So let me share my screen first. Let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes, your screen is visible.
So are you able to see the slide, or can you tell me?
We can see the slides. Yeah.
Means like it's in the slideshow mode, right?
Right.
Yeah. You're now having the first title slide on your screen, just to make sure.
Yes, we also see the
Yes.
next slide also.
Next slide. Okay, then I will
Yeah.
swap this setting. Yeah, now I think you able to see the first slide.
Yeah. Right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So before that, I will just turn off my camera. So let me introduce the topic for the today for the day. Basically, it's mapping to the OWASP OT top 10 with the IEC 62443 mitigation controls. Okay, so I would like to thank OWASP Dubai Chapter and particularly Ahmed for giving me this opportunity to talk about this particular uh, subject to the wider audience in Dubai and worldwide. Just before we go ahead, I would like to give you a brief introduction about myself, about my background. I am into this industry for past 20 years and last 10 years specifically on OT cybersecurity. I am certified with GICSP and IEC 6443. I have handled multiple roles as an commissioner, means in the commissioning of industrial control systems in the beginning, then coming to the consulting part and architect, and as well as doing hands-on implementation of cybersecurity controls in the OT systems. I also have uh, experience across multiple industries from oil and gas to heavy metals to cement to pharma to FMCG, food and beverages, whatever you name it. And again, like I have been playing a role of like being part of an R&D team developing products which are used in ICS as a advisory, and as a system integrator, etc. So if you, yeah, let me go to the contents or agenda for the day. So I would briefly explain about what does it mean by OT and how does it matter, what is the significance of OT cybersecurity. Then I will go to the topic about OWASP and what does it mean by OWASP OT top 10, what does it contain, and then I will move on to IEC 62443 and then to the mapping parts and just the closing slide with takeaways. So before I start, if you have any questions, you're always welcome to stop me and raise it. Either put into the chat and somebody, Farouk, will moderate and raise the questions. It's also fine to park your questions till I end my session and you can raise it and I will be happy to answer it. Okay, so just to uh, set the context, okay, because I know that OWASP has been here for a very long time and their contribution into the web security and IT enterprise security has been incredible. And the step into the OT and IoT space is also commendable. Okay, so I am not completely aware about the audience, but so I would like to give you a very quick brief about what does it mean by OT and how it differs from the conventional IT. So OT, or normally called as operational technology, and not operation theater. Okay, so it's basically what we see in the factories, in the manufacturing plants. Like I have tried to include two pictures on the right hand side. Uh, so whatever is manufactured, is whether it's a water treatment or a car manufacturing, automobile, there is a computer systems and network uh, behind that manufacturing, in the sense like uh, you have a, for example, a conveyor belt on which the body of the car, the chassis moves, and then engine is fitted, it is painted, then upholstery is inserted. So the conveyor belt is moved by using a computer based system, or we can also call it a cyber physical system. And it's, there is a lot of automation going in behind, like when to start the conveyor, when to stop, who controls it. So all of them are controlled by a computer based system, or which includes like DCS, PLCs, SCADA, relays, etc. Okay, so uh, this is, and on the left hand side, it's like there is a, how does it different? How is it different from IT? What are the different components in IT? Uh, and what do you see differently in OT? Okay, moving on. So having the knowledge of OT, okay, so what happened like basically in last 10 to 15 years? Because before 15 years, the OT or industry, even the term OT was not relevant, or we would hardly find if you search for OT in the Google or internet. Okay, but what happened in the past 10 years, 15 years? Okay, so and how does it uh, become very relevant to talk about OT cybersecurity? Okay, so uh, before 10 15 years it was not a very relevant topic, because the OT or this technology was not connected. It worked in silos. Sorry, silos, or isolated from the rest of the world or internet. Okay, but due to business reasons and so many different benefits, okay, we started connecting the factory network or the OT to either the wider network, or sometimes even to the internet, maybe not directly, but through indirect connections. Okay, so this enabled uh, a new area of risk to the factories and to the manufacturing industry. And we have seen this like evolving, and means like as a major threat starting from around 2010, and then later on. Okay, so one of the reason was the connection or the connectivity of the OT with the rest of the network, which actually created a lot of new threat vectors and threat actors who can enter the space. Okay, so and from there we have seen a lot of attacks, and I have tried to include a chronology of cyber attacks which have impacted the critical infrastructure industry, or basically the industry from like the oil and gas industry or manufacturing, and um, mines, etc., energy. So you can see that like 2010, then up to 2024, and it's there still, right? And some of the means like reasons, maybe like the maturity of the systems and the preparedness is very low. And you know that it's unlike IT, where we change the systems every maybe 3 to 5 years. We have a longer lifetime It may be like 20 to 30 years, sometimes even more than that, and I have seen that, right? A 40-year-old system in some of the plants still running, and it's not easy to change also, right? So, and if the impact is huge, that is why it's very relevant. If something happens, it may have a very large impact compared to what happens in an IT world. Okay, so moving on, this is like a little more extra fact about means a report released by TUE in 2022, or maybe in 2023, based on data from 2022. So it says that like uh, it's like 70, means one of the statistics says that at least 74% of the industrial world have faced at least one time an attack or a cyber incident in past 2 years. Okay. Then you can also see some figures around the impact in dollar values. Okay, and how much time it took to recover. So like so that's why means I started from what do you mean by OT, and why this OT cybersecurity is very important today, because of the fact that what changed in last 15 years, and what are we seeing today, means, or how is the impact on the world because of this OT cybersecurity. So uh, this is what I would like to say in this introductory slides. Now, if we go to the core topic of the day, having set the background, which is about OWASP OT Top 10 and IEC 6443. So before I deep dive, so what I am trying to do here, I will give you a slight idea. Basically, OWASP, as you know, means have always come with top 10, means top 10 high risk areas for any different technologies, and here IEC 62443 is basically a standard which is trying to defend the OT space. Okay, so I'm trying to map the risk pointed out by OWASP top 10, OT top 10, how we can mitigate it using 62443 controls. So 62443 have altogether a different mechanism, how it manage risk, how it mitigate risk. I will come to that point little later. But I am here. I'm trying to do a close mapping between the two. I mean, 62443 is, of course, a standard, and OWASP OT top 10 are the high risk identified by a community-led uh, project, right? So going on to OWASP top 10, as you already know that it is a collaborative development led by a community, and they're trying to come up with something which can actually serve as a foundation for OT security. Okay, so so OWASP, or this project, have already come up with top 10 high risk areas, and uh, it's still under discussion, and I can say that it is kind of a work in progress project. Okay, even though a list is already published, discussions are still ongoing, which is a good thing. And the community has agreed on means have a common agreement on at least the first four risk what has been listed on the top, and then they consider the next five as high important items, and then the last one as not a direct security issue, but have a potential to prevent many other issues. Okay, So these are the what I have listed down are the OWASP top 10 items for OT, like starting from unknown assets and unmanaged access, external access, sorry, devices with uh, uh, inherent vulnerabilities. Sorry, thank you. And inadequate supply chain management, loss of availability, insufficient access controls, then missing incident detection capabilities, broken sons and conduits, missing awareness and training, component security, and finally the hardening part. Okay. Now, having uh, explained what does it mean or what are the items in the OWASP top 10, let me move on to uh, give give you a little background of IEC 62443. So IEC 62443 is a global standard uh, which has been here for again last 10-15 years. So it was initially developed by an organization called as ISA, and then now means ISA and IEC together maintains it. So there was it was earlier called as ISA 99, or ISA is basically an organization for automation, industrial automation. Okay, and IEC also develop a lot of standard on this for this industrial automation, power industry, like uh, communication standards, which are very familiar to all of the guys in this ICS space, like IEC 60950, IEC 101, 104. A lot of different standards and lot of technical committees uh, uh, which are again community led work on developing the standard, improving the standard to uh, cope up with the latest developments in the industry, right? So it's IC 6443 is co-developed by ISA and IEC, and there are a lot of technical committees which is putting their effort to revise the standards, okay, to amend based on new developments in the industry, okay. And IEC, this particular standard 62443 covers all different aspects of cybersecurity, like process, people, and technology. As you can see that on the bottom right, okay, where the standard itself is classified into 4 different areas, in which the first is basically giving the general introduction or general explanation of general terminologies, and second stream or second area is dealing with the policies and procedure part, and third is about the system security, means that if you have a factory, what how you can assess the security of that factory, and what controls or what countermeasures are required to achieve a certain level of cyber security. So all of these are explained in the third, or what you can see here as system, or we also call it as 3 dash or series, means 3 series, okay, 3x series. So where it's trying to cover all the requirements of a such an industrial system. And finally, the fourth area, which talks about, which is 4.1 and 4.2, about the cybersecurity requirements of the components which are used to build an industrial control system. Well, like it may be embedded component, it may be a machine, or it may be a software, okay, or a workstation. Okay, so all these are covered in the 4X series, or like by the two standards 4142. Okay, so this is how the standard is structured. It have different streams or areas to cover different aspects related to industrial, means IC, OT cybersecurity. And then coming to a specific, like here, it belongs to 3X series and 3-3 standard, which defines different security levels. And uh, by standard, a standard have defined that if you meet a particular security level like SL1, as in the example in the top right, you can see standard is claiming that it can defend a certain level of cybersecurity attacks. Okay, and if it is SL2, then you can even defend a attack with little more sophistication. SL3, SL4 can even defend a high-end targeted cyber attack. So this is how the security levels from 1 to 4 are defined by the IEC 62443 3-3 standard. Okay, and how to achieve it. So for that, again, 62443 have defined 7 different foundation requirements or FRs. I will come to that in detail in the coming slides. So 7 FRs. So, and in each FRs there are security requirement. Again, SR. A lot of acronyms. I know it may be confusing sometimes, but there are 7 different foundational requirements, or you can consider it as 7 different domains of cybersecurity, in which there are uh, cybersecurity security requirements, SRs, and there are around hundreds of such controls. I think it is 101 controls defined by the 3-3 standard. And if you meet certain, like 25 of them, you will achieve NSL1 capability. Maybe next 50 of them you will achieve SL2. So the 25 in SL1 and next 15 SL2. So total 75 we are achieving SL2 capability. Then next 12 or something, then you will SL3. All of them you meet SL4 capability. Okay, so this is how 3-3 defines the cybersecurity controls to defend an industrial organization. Okay, Farooq, do you have any questions, or still shall I continue and wait till the end?
Let's wait till the end and we can take the questions at the end.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
so so a little bit more about the what I just described about foundational requirements. I think I have a mistake here. It's the functional requirements written, but it's the foundational requirements. These are the 7 which I mentioned. Okay, identity and identification, authentication, use control, integrity, confidentiality, restricted data flow, timely response to events, and resource availability. So these are the different FRs included in 62443. I'm not going into the detail of each of them, but I think most of you guys are from or understand the terminologies and what does it mean in the cybersecurity world, right? So, and you can see a table which I have put for like to explain how the controls are structured. So in each FR, for example, this belongs to all these controls listed here belongs to FR1. So then there is SR, so 1.1, which means the first one stands for which FR. So and then it is a sub control. You can consider something like that. And then again, this is explanation to different control. And this, if you meet the first one, then you have the SL1 capability. Then if you meet this one, then you are meeting SL2 capability, like that. Okay. And some of them doesn't have SL1, SL2, because this may be some advanced controls. Okay. So this is how the standard itself is structured, the 3-3 standard. And as I mentioned, the basic cybersecurity can be met if you meet all the SL1 controls. Okay. And it gives you the basic defense capabilities against a cyber attack, like as we can see a definition or defined in the standard. Okay. So I have covered all these points. Okay. And ideally, before I go to the next slide, which talks about the mapping, okay, I would like to mention about how it is normally handled in the cyber 62443 world, right? So 62443 have in the 3x series, it have another standard called 3-2, which talks about the risk assessment, how the risk assessment has to be performed in an industrial environment, in the oil and gas and manufacturing world. So then it actually identifies what is the security requirement needed for that particular plant or a factory. Okay, so 3-2, there is a whole process in which it describes how we can do a risk assessment. So suppose I go to a oil and gas plant, and if I quickly try to explain how we do that, basically we divide the whole plant into different zones. Okay, so for example, the refinery, or maybe zones may be much smaller, a boiler plant. So inside the large plant, there may be a small plant called which I can just imagine as a boiler. So boiler is one zone. So I like that I split the whole factory into multiple zones, and then the standard asks us to do a detailed risk assessment. Okay, so in which so basically the zones are identified based on something called as a high level risk assessment, so which will be used to identify the zones. And then in each zone we will do a detailed risk assessment which determines what is the security level needed based on the risk that it poses. Okay. So if it is a very critical or very high critical system in the plant, then the assessment team may ask us to put that in SL3. Okay. So this particular boiler or whatever zone has to be in SL3 because it possesses a very high risk and the impact is so huge. Okay, so like that we assign the the target SL to every different zones in the plant. Okay, so that is how the 62443 risk assessment is done. And then when it comes to the mitigation part, we see that what are the controls that can be used to increase or improve the current posture of cybersecurity for that particular zone. So that is how the 62443 defines or practices the implementation of cybersecurity controls. Okay, but in this this presentation or this session, I am focusing on OWASP because OWASP. Sorry, let me have some water, please. Yeah. Sorry for that. Thank you. And OWASP have already defined the top 10 cybersecurity risks for in OT, and again, it is developed in collaboration with so many experts and stakeholders coming from the industry. So, this top 10 threats, I know that this could be, these are very important, and this could be relevant for most of the industry. I am not claiming any numbers, maybe 60%, 80%, 90%. Yes, it is relevant. I know that, right? So, and I am trying to explain how, means how it is managed by using 6443 controls, how we can mitigate those risks. So that is the idea here. And I'm not going to the detail of each of the different 10 items in the list, because that itself will need another session. Okay, but maybe I will take one or two examples. Okay, maybe yeah, that's it's I think necessary to explain at least one two examples, because uh, 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 that will give you an understanding of how OT looks like, and how it is maybe different from an IT world, right? So unknown assets, I will try to go with the first one, which is talking about unknown assets and unmanaged external access. Okay, so which means that that's a very common problem, and one of the top most, or the most important problem in the industrial world, right? Because there is no single means asset inventory for most of the asset owners. Okay, so there may be a large drawing on a paper. There may be some Excel sheets maintained, uh, and some of them may be in a CMDB system. Some of them are maintained by the OEM manufacturers. OEM manufacturer means who supplies their system in the plant. Okay, so they maintain the inventory. So it is here and there, but you don't have a single consolidated list of your assets. It's a fact, or it's very true, right? And as long as you don't have the knowledge of assets, it's very difficult to manage the vulnerabilities, the threats it poses, and the whole cybersecurity of your system, right? Because you don't know the complete list of assets, then you don't know uh, what kind of asset is this, and how much old it is, what version of software or firmware it is running, and what vulnerability it poses, and which means that uh, what threat it exposes to the outer world, right? So you don't know anything if you don't know the asset. So that is a very common risk, and uh, along with that, unmanaged external access, which means it's very common in this industry when somebody from the OEM side, again, uh, 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 many of you might not be familiar with what I mean by OEM. So OEM means like who supplies a PLC, or who supplies an a system for the industrial factory, means plants or manufacturing units. Okay, so like for example, it may be Siemens, Schneider, Rockwell Automation, ABB, Arriva. There are a lot of players. So it is very common for them to access their system, maybe not directly by the OEMs, maybe by the system integrator, who is responsible for the maintenance of the system. So they sometimes need to log in into the system, so which is not uh, uh, I would say very secure. Okay, So that is a common threat, and which directly exposes sometimes a system on the internet. And some of you might be familiar with the Shodan tool, which have a separate tab for OT. Okay, and you can see there are a lot of OT systems which are directly exposed on internet. Okay, so this is what here the community, OWASP community, is trying to focus on. Okay, and like, yeah, then non-vulnerabilities, yes, a lot of them. Okay, and availability, insufficient access control, incident detection and reaction capabilities, which may be related to the SOC in the IT world, but you don't have something similar, means, or even the SOC is there for most of the organizations. How much visibility does it bring into the OT world? That's still a question mark. So, and then again, broken zones and conduit designs, which is related to the network flaws, awareness, like people awareness, like in the factory, who is operating a machine, how much awareness does he have got on the cyber security? Like if something, if his PC got stuck, he don't know whether it is a PC problem or it may be related to a cyber security issue. What he needs to do, whether he need to unplug the cable, whether he need to restart. Restart is not a common solution because it may stop the production for some time. So production is most important. We cannot afford to the loss of production, maybe as in some industries even 4 seconds. Okay, so then protocols and components, their inherent means cybersecurity issues, like the protocols and the components, as I said, have been been used for so many years, sometimes 20 years, and it was not developed or it was not designed with cybersecurity in mind. Okay, so that problem is still out there, and missing hardening. Okay, so even when you have a system, it is not hardened. Like uh, sometimes you can find a lot of legacy systems like Windows XP still running in the plants, and it cannot be replaced, to be honest. There are a lot of, means, the cost of replacing itself is higher than the cost of risk it poses. Okay, there are such scenarios as well. So we cannot replace a Windows XP, but we can use hardening, like within that machine we can harden by limiting the services running on it, and the exposure it brings into the remaining network, or maybe putting some external countermeasures like industrial firewalls or virtual patching. There are a lot of different controls which we can be used to protect some legacy OSs and legacy systems in the plant. Okay, so then this table explains like how we map this risk with the countermeasure from 62443. Like you can see, for the first one I explained that there are like I already given you an idea about the 62443 standard having 4 different series, in which the second series dealing with the policies and procedure. Okay, and third series which deals with sounds and conduits and the different FRs. So if you go and focus on these controls, you can actually mitigate this risk. So that is the idea here, and that's the explanation from this table. And I don't want to go to each and every one of those countermeasures, but I will try to explain at least one in the next slide as a use case. But this is the idea from the table. So you have 10 high risk listed by the community, OWASP community, and this can be mitigated. So if some asset owner decides, some industry CEO decides that they will focus on OWASP OT as the top priority. Okay, because they might have might not have anything currently. Okay, so let us focus on OWASP top 10. Then without wasting time, if the CEO asks to bring some cybersecurity improvement, then without wasting a time for a risk assessment, because it is so time consuming, as I mentioned, like the 62431 and all. So let us directly go and implement some countermeasures and mitigation. Then you can go with this list. Okay. So if you try to implement based on this list, then you are at least covering this top 10 risk. Okay, which will considerably improve your cybersecurity posture for sure. But it's not a risk-based approach, but we are directly going on and trying to implement something based on the industry experts, because these top 10 risks are developed by the community-driven project, right? So that's the idea here. And in the next slide, I am taking the first one. So the first risk, which is explained, I have tried to summarize it. Okay, here, what does it mean by the unknown assets and unmanaged external access, which I already tried to, which I already means kind of explained you that, right? There are a lot of lack of asset inventory and remote access, which is a high impact threat to an manufacturing industry, or means the industrial world, right? So, and that is explained, and I have also provided a link basically which details about this particular risk, and in this how we can mitigate using 62443. Yeah, so I have not listed down 2-1 and 3-2, which is a standard which focus on the policies and procedure, how it can be built, and basically CSMS, cyber, or you might be familiar with ISMS, okay, Information Security Management System, and this also 2-1, 2-2 describes about a CSMS, Cyber Security Management System for OT. So I have not put that one here, but I have put this 3-3. Okay, so like I already explained, there are 7 FRs, and in that FR there is a security requirement. So this particular threat can be mitigated if you can implement these cyber security requirements. Okay, and those are into 4 different levels, and each of this will bring some level of uh, improved cybersecurity defense for the organization. Okay, so SR 1.1, 2.1, and 5.2. Uh, I know it's very small for you to read, but my idea is not to go through those controls because it's already available in the public domain. But the idea is about how do you do the mapping from OWASP risk to IEC 62443 mitigation control. Okay, so you take this and then you implement this. So this is for somebody at the C level who thinks that OWASP top 10 can be used as a starting point to reduce the risk in their OT world, right? So, and means like it will definitely go beyond the time risk, OWASP risk. So I have just one use case for you to understand the concept, and then the next one I try to map the OWASP top 10, OT top 10 to the different FRs and different standards. Like you can see FR1 to 7 here, and 2-1, 2-3, 2-4, and 4-1, 4-2. Like I explained, 4-1, 4-2 deals with the The component security, the parts which are used in your plant, what security it should have, whether it should have authentication also. All of them are covered in these two standards. Okay, and two series I mentioned you to about the policies and procedures to be followed, and these are the technical controls FR1 to FR7. So to manage this risk from OWASP, you shall comply these many standards. Okay, FR1, FR2 may not be all of the FR2 controls, but some of them. And then again in the 2-1, it is not following the complete procedure and policy and procedure, but maybe some relevant controls are applicable to mitigate this risk. Similarly, I have the table for all the OWASP risk and different IEC 62443 clauses or controls that will enable you to mitigate this risk. Okay, so by this, I would means coming to a close of this session, and I would like to means take some questions if there are any. Okay, with and I believe this session will enable you guys to understand like what does OWASP OT top 10 is doing. It's giving you the top level risk, which are very common in the industry. That is uh, very true. Okay, and if you decide that yes, these are my risk and I have to start dealing with this risk, then you can go to this mapping. Okay, which is based on 62443. So directly go to those controls and implement it so that you have some kind of defense already established. Okay, and the beauty of this is like it's very practical, like because there are so many, means a lot of organizations spending a lot of time on doing risk assessments. I'm not saying risk assessment is not needed, but if you do not have anything, and that is the situation for many of the plants and industry, then at least start with something which will give you a baseline. Okay, and from there you can maybe do a risk assessment and improve and reach higher levels of cybersecurity. Okay, but if you are a beginner or means starting with the cybersecurity mitigation, then it is a good option to go with this approach. With that, I would like to thank you, the organizers, and I would also encourage you to write to me if you have any questions later on. But now I will open for any questions from this forum. Thank you, Farooq.
Thank you for the amazing session. We have a couple of questions. So if anyone has
Yeah.
a question, you can raise your hand. Can unmute you. I can see there are a couple of questions in the chat. Sandeep, would it be fine if you ask over the voice? I can unmute. Okay, cool.
Hi,
You are unmuted. Yeah.
Sandeep. Yeah. So I have two questions. One is, let's say if my OT plan, I want to get audited for against the 62443. So do I need to go for all these like 62443-1, 2, 3, and 4, or how will I assess this? Which all are applicable to me?
Okay, so if you are, I believe you are talking about this 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that correct?
Not
If I,
OWASP. Yeah, yeah, yes. This one.
yeah. Yeah, this one, correct. So that is so there is a standard in this 6443, which is 3-2. Okay, particularly this one. So in this standard, there is a very detailed approach on how to perform a risk assessment for your plan. Okay, so it talks about two different levels of risk assessment. One they call it as high level risk assessment, and then it's a detailed risk assessment. So high level risk assessment identify the zones and conduits in your plant. Okay, so when I say zones and conduits, you imagine a very large plant, and then it is splitted into different zones. Okay, zones may be a small or a limited network. Okay, which belongs to a particular process, manufacturing process. I mean, okay, and conduits means from this particular zone how it interfaces with other zones, okay, or rest of the zone or rest of the network. Okay, so that is the first part of the assessment. And once they do the first part, then there is a second part which is a detailed risk assessment. They take the each zone and they calculate the SLTs, okay, or security level target. Okay, they find out what is the SLT for this zone. So it may be SL1 for some of the zones, because the impact may be very low if even if it is attacked. Okay, if that zone is not very important, then even a cyber attack, it will not lead to a much of impact. Then the risk assessment team may decide that this zone can live with SL1. Okay, but there may be very high critical zone which they may assign SL3. Okay, so that is how the SLs are defined, or SLs are determined in a factory. Okay, so it for you cannot say that the whole factory should meet SL1 or SL4. That's not correct. It may again depend upon each zones, and each zones may have different security level target. Okay, and that's how the mitigations are applied. Sandeep, if that answer your question.
Yeah, so I understand. I understood about SL1 and to SL4. Now, how about this uh, 62443-1, like general
Yeah,
the next one
yeah.
policies, and
So
is it applicable
yeah,
to all our organizations?
yes. So basically
So especially if I am going to get certified against 62443.
uh, so 62443, as of now, they have not come up with a certification for a plant. It's not yet
Mm.
there. Okay,
Okay.
they have a certification for components. So
Oh,
if
okay.
there is an OEM, like for example, ABB or Rockwell Automation, so they have their PLCs or RTUs certified against 62. It is not only called as ISA Secure. There is a website as well. If you go to ISA Secure, then you can find the list of components which are certified against this standard. Okay, 4-1 and 4-2. Okay, so
Okay.
there's a certification, but again there is a another certification for system, for example a DCS. Okay, so what they do is, like, I think Emerson have certified, and Rockwell, some systems have certified. So a DCS, they do, or they configure it in certain way, like they put their controllers, they put their HMIs, industrial workstation, and put some hardening, and then they go and certify that their system is capable of SL2 or SL3. I think they claim that they can have SL2 compliance. Okay, so that is also done. But for a whole plant, like if you go to an oil and gas plant and say that I am 62443 certified, it's not there yet. But 62443 committee is coming with something like that. They are bringing up more streams. I think it's part of SEAM, another 6 series or something. I don't exactly remember it, but they're coming with now it is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? They're coming with 5 and 6 series. Okay, I think there is a certification for plant. They are planning in some other new series. Okay, so but again, this policies and procedure, it's still applicable. So in your cyber security assessment, which you do, that will also find out the lack of procedural controls. Okay, training and awareness means lack of training and awareness in the plan. So all those will means lead to use these standards, how you can mitigate it. Okay, so that's how it's generally done.
Okay, yeah, understood. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, you're welcome. Can we go to the next question, Farooq?
Yeah, I have
Sandeep,
one
you
more
had one
question.
more
Yeah.
question. Yeah.
Like in at one point you told that Windows XP, Windows 7, like outdated operating systems or legacy systems are still being used for OT platforms.
Yes.
Uh, and by hardening or isolating the network, we can reduce the risk. But how long we can go with these techniques? What strategies can be built for the future security of OT systems?
You mean security of the legacy systems? So,
No,
okay, so let me,
I'm asking about how long we can run with these legacy systems, or
okay. Yeah, so basically, what the strategies, which at least I have, means experience with this. For example, if there's a Windows XP system, okay, in the Windows XP, we know that Microsoft is not releasing even the security patches. They released security patches after WannaCry because they felt that it is very important, but generally it's not there. Okay, so whatever vulnerabilities are means found or means like disclosed by the different cybersecurity practitioners, it is still not fixed, and it can be used by some bad actors, right? So I'm giving you an example. Suppose that vulnerability is on the FTP, sorry, not FTP, maybe a telnet or some protocol, maybe on some other Windows protocol. Okay, so so what we do is that we try to find all such vulnerabilities, or we may have a list of vulnerabilities possessed by a Windows XP PC today. Okay, then we have a hardening guidelines. Okay, so to prevent this vulnerability, close this port. To close means, or to prevent the second vulnerability, disable the service. Okay, so that is one option, but that is very cumbersome, I know that. So, and if you disable, it may impact one of the service or one of the features of the product, means it becomes useless. That is also a probability, right? So in that case, okay, so if it is affecting the current function of the system, then that is why we use an industrial firewall, so that we will make sure that even though this vulnerability is exposed, that the exposure is limited. Suppose we will, so again, coming back to the example of telnet, we will say that, yeah, you can use telnet, but the telnet shall originate from just one system outside, means outside of this network. Okay, so and then we will add additional filtering and all. Okay, so that is how we can prevent. And second option, I just briefly mentioned about virtual patching. Okay, so there are some solutions available which actually take care of all these vulnerabilities which are disclosed after Microsoft stopping the patches. Okay, and what it will do is, any anything which is going to affect or impact these vulnerabilities coming from the outside world. Okay, so that is stopped. Okay, so we install an agent in a Windows XP PC. Okay, then if suppose if it is getting a request on Telnet, and this agent knows that Telnet is vulnerable because it has been already disclosed, so it will deny that Telnet access. So that is something called as virtual patching. So these are the different strategies which are used, but I know, of course, it is we should change the system. Okay, so that is also a long term. So as a consultant or as a advisor, what you will do is that we will give you we will give them short term, medium term, and long term options. Short term will be maybe what I just mentioned. Okay, but in long term, we will ask them to migrate to newer operating systems. Okay,
Okay.
if it answers
Yeah.
your question, yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I think that's the end of the questions. I have one question from my side. So you mentioned sometimes the cost of replacing is more than the risk it brings. So at
Hmm.
that point of time, do we accept the risk?
Yeah, maybe I will have to rephrase. Okay, maybe cost of replacement might be higher than cost of uh, risk, maybe with some countermeasures. Okay, so like for example, if an XP system is there and it is facing internet directly, then it's a high risk. Okay, so we cannot accept it. But if there is a XP system which is isolated and which is sitting in a corner of the plant, okay, nobody cares about replacing that system, because as I mentioned, cost of replacing may be very high, higher than the risk it poses. So it depends, but it is true. So sometimes we will leave it as it is. We will decide that let the say XP system sit aside in that corner. But sometimes we say that yes, we should bring some countermeasures, like at least an industrial firewall in front of it. Sometimes we say that no, we cannot accept it. We have to totally remove it. So it depends, but this is a scenario in the industry. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for clearing this down.
So if you don't have any questions, I will
Yeah, I
go
think we
back
don't
to.
have any further questions. So I think with this we can end our today's session. On behalf of Dubai OWASP Chapter, I would like to thank everyone. Thank you, Moon. Thank you for all the attendees for taking time out on a weekend and joining us. And we look forward for more sessions. Let's come. Thank you.
Thank you everyone
Thank
for
you.
joining. Thanks, Farooq.
Thank you, team.
Thank you.